Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 17 of Season 5 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back here today. It's been a little while actually since the last video. If you missed out on the Singapore Grand Prix, definitely recommend going back and checking out. Of course, this is your one chance to avoid spoilers from that race. But yeah, just 6 rounds to go of Season 5 of this series. It does seem mad that we're closing in on, I think we're getting towards episode 120 of this series now. It's by far and away the longest series I think I've ever done on YouTube at this point. But yeah, we had a championship battle in the McLaren RTG earlier on this week. If you missed out on that video, would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out as well. So for the second time in a week, we could become world champion here today. We need to walk away from this Grand Prix with a 131 point gap. 130 point gap actually over George Russell, and we could be world champion here today. Currently, we've got a 114 point margin over George Russell, so it doesn't seem likely this weekend that obviously we could build up that gap. But say George Russell has a DNF, we have another solid weekend out. It's not impossible that we could leave the Russian Grand Prix as world champion with 5 races to spare in this season. We have just been so consistent throughout the entirety of this championship. 2 races where we've been off the podium throughout the entirety of this season. And a lot of the time we haven't had the fastest car still, but we are currently on a 2-race win streak. Can we make it 3 this weekend in Russia? Let's wait and see. Right, well here we are back then at the Sochi Autodrome, ready for round 17's qualifying session here for the Russian Grand Prix. I feel like I always say the same things when I come back to this track. Awful race circuit in real life. I think none of us are under any illusion that it's anything more than just a calendar filler at this point of time. But on the F1 games, it can provide some good racing and is generally quite a good fun lap to hook up as well. You know, it's quite a good time trial track, this one, but real life, no, it just doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, first few corners are really nice. Obviously, where it's quite sort of high speed for the most part. There's not really many slow bits apart from the final sector. Very good fun to try and hook up a lap, unless you do things like that. Round in the final corners, though, to finish off our first qualifying lap on the mediums, it's gonna be a 28.3. Last place currently, but only 2/10 off our teammate Verstappen. Not too bad. I say that lap wasn't too bad, and Mercedes, just as always around the Russian Grand Prix circuit, seem to be on another league this weekend. I think, yeah, George Russell is 2 seconds faster than me at this stage of the session, which is not good, but obviously we are now going to get a lap on some representative tyres as we head out of the final corner. Ready to start our second lap then. Hopefully we don't end up dropping out in Q2 here. We do need to try and get this lap hooked up nice and tightly if we can, but yeah, as long as we can find about a second, we should be safely through into Q3. Heading down in towards Sector 3 then, we've already found about a second over our previous lap, so we're not doing too badly at the moment, but it's Sector 3 where the AI seem to still be incredibly strong on F1 2020, just the way they seem to be able to get the power down in a couple of places. That corner, for example, where it's off camber, you really get a lot of wheel spin, which the AI just don't on F1 2020 still. But round in the final couple of corners, let's see what time we can get through the final turn. We are going to be a long way up in the end. 26.5 is not that bad, if I do say so myself. P3, only behind the Mercs. That's pretty good. So there we go then. Bottas ended up fastest there on a 1:26.2. Verstappen, though, not making it out of Q2 in the end. 16th place. Where on earth has Max Verstappen ended up doing that, and why on earth are we suddenly having all these qualifying problems in the last couple of weeks there? But not what our teammate needed in the Russian Grand Prix there. I mean, he had slim chances of walking away from this weekend still in the championship battle, and it appears that Verstappen is going to have to wait yet another year to be able to give that challenge there. But yeah, Russell and Bottas very quick at the front. We were still third, like I said, only 3/10 off. We're going to need a worldly of a lap, though, if we want to get between them. Like I said, a worldly of a lap is what's going to be required to split the Mercedes, and hopefully a worldly of a lap is what we're going to be able to deliver in this final session. I do feel like if we get it completely hooked up, we could be looking close to the 125s around this circuit, but I'm sure Mercedes are probably now going to unleash the sandbags and set mid-25s at the end of Q3 here, but we'll try and get a good lap in. We're a little bit wide through turn 2, but it doesn't cost us too much as we head through the long flowing turn 3. Take as much curb as you dare there, maybe a bit cheeky through that corner. You can be in a lot of places around here. It's not looking a particularly great lap at the moment. If you don't like a little bit of exploration around the Russian Grand Prix circuit, I would recommend looking away. So far on this lap, so we just clipped the sausage curb there. That gives us a little bit of wheel spin. Trying to tidy up our act just a little bit as we come towards the end of Sector 2. Because I'm not too sure who was that fastest. Not sure who that was. I think it was it the AlphaTauri? Was it Pierre Gasly who just went fastest? I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, try and get Sector 3 all nice and nailed. Apparently 7/10 up on whoever that was. Yeah, look at that AlphaTauri, fastest so far on a 26.5 for Danny Kvyat in his home Grand Prix. Come on. Gotta keep it clean. Through the final corner, it's a 26.7. A 10th off Danny Kvyat in the end there, but at least we got a good banker in. Now we know we've got time to find. There we go, George Russell has got rid of the sandbags towards the end of Q3, straight down onto a 126.3 on his first lap there, but now we've got to see just how much time we can find over our previous run. AlphaTauri, though, looking incredibly quick at this stage of the session. Still amazes me they haven't won a race this year, and to be honest, I think that chance is really fading away in the latter stages of this World Championship. Baku was always going to be that opportunity that went away from him, really, when it shouldn't have, but less worrying about that, more worrying about trying to get our qualifying lap hooked up. Nice, tidier run through the first couple of quarters. Like I said, we want to try and find a good sort of 4-5 tenths, but again, just being a little bit cheeky with the track limits, running, using the curbs where we can in a couple of places. Oh, big chunk of wheel spin there, somehow keep the back end in check. Still walk away with a little bit of time found. A lot of curb taken through there, but a much tidier run. Again, a lot of curb. Oh god, where are we going? That's a lot of understeer. That's a bit cheeky as well. Qualifying, yeah. We're exploring the Russian Grand Prix facilities. Anyway, down in towards Sector 3. Russell sets to 26.2. Wonder if Bottas is going to improve as well, or is he going to end up down in P5? I mean, we're not too worried about him. I think he's out of the championship battle at this point. Can we get this thing onto the front row, though, alongside George Russell? Let's wait and see.
You have a lot of wing damage. Box for a new one.
Haven't done that in a while on F1 2020. Please don't.
That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're alright.
I mean, what can you do? And that's when the replay starts. I'm loving this. Well, there we go then, qualifying done and dusted for the Russian Grand Prix, and somehow, despite all that, we still end up walking away with P3, the half-second clear of Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas there. Danny Kvyat, though, surely he must be on cloud 9 right now with that front row start in his home Grand Prix. I think that is his best qualifying session of the year, maybe of his career, I think, in all honesty as well. I don't think, yeah, no, Kvyat's definitely never had a pole position in Formula 1. Has he started on the front row before? He might have done a couple of times back in 2015/16 there. Someone will know, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, George Russell on pole. He is the man that wants to try and stop us wrapping up the World Championship here today. Let's dive in then to the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome one and all to today's Grand Prix here in southern Russia. A beautiful location besides the Black Sea, and a race that has been dominated so far by the Silver Arrows. Mercedes have won here 6 times in a row since the first Sochi Grand Prix in 2014. Can someone else muscle in on that record here today? It's time to go racing then in the Sochi Autodrome, where the long run down to the heavy braking zone at turn 2 is one of 2 DRS zones around this 3.6 mile circuit. The other, of course, down into turn 13. 18 corners make up a lap here today, with an average speed somewhere in the region of 130 miles an hour. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and Daniel Kvyat lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Mr. Monaco, Gasly, Valtteri Bottas, and Albon, Ocon, Leclerc, ZHOU, and Carlos Sainz, Perez, Norris, Lewis Hamilton, and Raikkonen, Stroll, Verstappen, Nicholas Latifi, and Nobuharu Matsushita, Giovinazzi, King, Magnussen, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So here we are then, ready on the grid for the Russian Grand Prix, round 17 of the season, and for this one we find ourselves starting on the second row. Bottas loves starting from P3 in this Grand Prix. However, we can't start a Formula 1 car as well as Bottas, and the slipstream down towards turn 1 might just be as OP, so we'll wait and see as to what happens here. But yeah, I just want to dive into this. Like I said, we could be world champion today, but it would basically require George Russell to DNF from the Grand Prix or have an absolute nightmare. So, optimism, we'll wait and see. I mean, we've got plenty of races to try and wrap it up still. But ready then on the grid, round 17 of the season, like we said, 5 red lights. And let's lights out, and away we go. Kvyat. Oh, actually, we got off to a good start there. Rather surprised by that. No, we didn't. I lied. AlphaTauri, though, both getting off to an absolute rocket start there as Kvyat might try and look up the inside of Russell down in towards turn 1. Gasly thinks about making it 3 wide. And has Kvyat pulled it off? No, he hasn't. George Russell holds firm. We get back around the other AlphaTauri as well there. So both AlphaTauris looking like they could have made up some spots, but both of them staying where they started at the start of this Grand Prix as we head down in towards Sector 2. A pretty tiny start by everyone, by the looks of it. Sometimes we get yellow flags out for Constantina and up, but now it's going to be interesting to see what that AlphaTauri of Danny Kvyat can do. I'm sure he has never been as motivated as he is right now to try and get a race victory on the cards. But that being said, Mercedes George Russell in a pretty lethal combo so far this season, and you can already see George Russell trying to stretch his legs at the front of the field there as we're just trying to hang on to the pair of them on this opening lap. The AlphaTauri does seem to have come back strong this weekend. I don't know if they put any more upgrades on. I won't lie, perhaps we should have had a look at that before we dived into this one. But still, I mean, they've always been sort of a third best team this year, comfortably ahead of the rest of the pack, but often have just not quite lacked the pace of ourselves and Mercedes, of course, the 2 powerhouses of Formula 1 over the recent years. But anyway, coming towards the end of that one, George Russell does still lead the way. The whole of the top 5 unchanged. We've got Mercedes, AlphaTauri 2-1-2, AlphaTauri, Mercedes. Bit of lap 2, George Russell, yeah, really starting to stretch the advantage at the front of your field there. He's already broke the DRS before it's just been activated now, but I mean, yeah, the rest of us in the top 5 sticking fairly close. I don't feel like Danny Kvyat's holding us up just yet, but I think if we can get round him, that would be rather good.
Early in the race, but let's keep an eye on fuel. We'd like to have options available for us towards the end.
Love that. As we get onto lap 3, the team warning us about fuel just as the DRS decides to fail. So now we won't have any DRS to try and get past Danny Kvyat. I was literally about to say how now with the DRS we were able to stick a little bit closer to him and hopefully go for a move. I guess that's going to take a little bit longer unless we can get a worldly of a run. Why are we having so many DRS issues in recent Grand Prix? We had the same thing in the McLaren RTG. It better not just be a thing we get in every race now. Team's still worried about fuel at the moment. We might have to try and save a little bit over the next couple of laps. Oh, that's a lot of understeer. Just snagged the inside wheel. Not helping at all, but having a look at the mini-map, Max Verstappen is still stuck down with the back markers, or I think he's got away with them now. That's not going to help us either. Such a weirdly inconsistent weekend so far. That's one place lost to Gasly, and another one lost to Bottas, and we're going to struggle to get back past him, because we've got no DRS. Oh, yellow flag's out. Someone's having issues behind us. Not too sure who that is at the moment. I think it's one of the Ferraris. Come on. Oh, it's Hamilton out, and we've got a safety car. No, we've got a VSC. Full safety car might help us out a bit, but the VSC probably won't do a lot. No point in pitting at this stage of the day. Still far too early to bother with the mediums to the end. Oh, we got AlphaTauris battling just in front of us as the VSCs come in. I think Kvyat has been jumped now by Pierre Gasly, so I wonder if he's got a couple of small issues with the car as well, but we're under increasing pressure from Albon behind us as well at the moment. Not what we need. in this Russian Grand Prix, as Kvyat might not be done with that battle. No, he's defending now from Bottas. So is there some heartbreak for Danny Kvyat in this Russian Grand Prix? I'm sure he'd love to walk away with at the very least a podium, as we're just all over the road at the moment. No idea why we're struggling so much in the groove. Just cannot get this thing pointed where we want it. DRS now back online as we head on to lap 8. Hopefully now it means we can close back up to the 3 in front of us and try and recover some of these positions we lost. Crossing over 1/3 distance then in this Grand Prix. I am intrigued to see which one is going to be the first to blink out of us four in this Grand Prix. Obviously AlphaTauri got the difficult bit of one and knowing one of their drivers might get undercut in this Grand Prix by the other. Of course, that's if Pierre Gasly decides to pit first, which he will obviously get that choice, but we're still struggling with the rear end of this thing at the moment. I don't know what it is this weekend, but just feels like there's no stability with the back end of the car, and obviously we're just trying to drag it around, trying to stick with these guys, and it's probably not helping us. Oh, Albon, yeah, really has started dropping back in this Grand Prix. He must have issues with that Red Bull. He's dropped like 3 seconds in the last 3 laps to us, as we are now finally properly back in this battle with the AlphaTauris and Valtteri Bottas. Purple through the first sector as well, which is good. Oh, there we go. It's Gasly and Bottas, the first ones into the pits. So Kvyat and I need absolute worlders of laps ourselves now if we want to try and get back round them. We are going to be pitting at the end of this one though, confirmed, and luckily we've still just about got the DRS off Danny Kvyat in front of us. They can see Russell 4 seconds up the road. He's just looking comfortable in this Grand Prix. But hopefully we can close up to Kvyat this lap, and maybe we can work with him. Right in the final sector then, looking at the mini-map, I think Bottas has got held up. He's stuck behind one of the Williams as well as he heads down through Sector 2, so maybe there's a good chance for Kvyat and I to break away from him, and then hopefully we can both focus on Gasly. A bit of an untidy rest of the lap from ourselves, I won't lie. These tyres are definitely at the end of their life.
I need you to stop cutting the corners. If you keep it up, the stewards will award you a penalty.
What can we do? This weekend has just been a disaster so far. And now we've got a 3-second time penalty because we ran slightly wide to the pit lane. We did hold up George Russell though, so hopefully that's going to help us out just a little bit, but not what we need in this Grand Prix. 2.1 second stop though, going to leave us close to Kvyat. Gasly might actually be looking good now after that little bit of an incident. I think, yeah, pretty much everyone though back in the same order. Pretty certain we have got the overcut on Bottas though, as we head back down towards turn 1. Yes, we have. But now, we've got a 3-second time penalty to contend with. Not what we needed. Well, I think the last time we got one was at the French Grand Prix for making a small mistake into the pit entry, where we definitely didn't gain any time. Not what we need, though, as we're basically halfway there through this Russian Grand Prix so far. Now we've got a mountain to climb. Oh, we got more yellow flags out in Sector 2. Who's got issues once again in this race? Is it our teammate Max Verstappen? No, it's one of the racing points. Not too sure which one it is. In all honesty, let's find out in hopefully just a moment. As we head down towards Sector 3, to be honest. Would a safety car be good or would it not at this stage of the day? It's ZHOU, but we're not going to get a safety car. Which, yeah, to be honest, I'm not too disappointed about, I don't think. Let's just see if we can try and get a good run on Kvyat at some point soon. At the final corner, we've got to try and get some run on Kvyat at some point soon. He does seem to be closing in on Pierre Gasly as well, though, at the moment, so maybe we'll all Constantina up on each other at this stage of the day. And look at that Gasly. Whoa, Kvyat braking really early. I wasn't planning on sending it there, but it was that, or running to the back of him. And accidentally, I mean, we forced Kvyat back another spot as well, there as Bottas has snuck by him. So not what Danny Kvyat would have wanted. I'm sure he's pretty annoyed with that one, but again, like I said, it was either we pick up front wing damage for ourselves, and I mean, had it been real life diffuser, probably race-ending diffuser damage for him, or we send it. And yeah, just a little bit earlier on the brakes than I was expecting from Kvyat, but it's given us the spot. Who, hopefully not exactly the same, but can we do something similar to Pierre Gasly this time round? As we head back onto the start-finish straight, we'll once again get the DRS, and surely this time round he's got nothing to defend with. AlphaTauri is about to go backwards in this Grand Prix, to the outside we go. much later on the brakes into turn 1, and we swoop around the outside and up into P2 of this Grand Prix. George Russell, though, in front of us, seems to be struggling a bit. So maybe, just maybe, this race is coming back to us on the mediums. Car does feel a bit better. Still a little bit loose and lively, but a lot better than it did on the softs. Oh, out of nowhere, new fast lap of the Grand Prix. Don't know how we managed that. Now we've broken the DRS to Pierre Gasly behind us. Hopefully we can start trying to open up that gap up towards 3 seconds. Kvyat's already hovering towards the cusp of it. And we're still hitting our marks at the moment. Oh, big double snap of oversteer. Not what you want. Bottas may end up having to be our saviour in this Grand Prix if he can just get one run on Pierre Gasly and then go side by side for a couple of corners. Could really help us out towards the end of this Grand Prix. The gap up to 2 seconds to Pierre behind us. I don't want today to be the day we get our 3rd non-podium of the year, but at the moment we're hanging on in there. There we go, another new fast lap of the Grand Prix, a bit out of nowhere. 20 thousandths quicker as the gap now over 3 seconds to Bottas and Kvyat. Gasly just 1/10 hanging in. Another new fast lap of the Grand Prix with just 4 to go. The gap to Kvyat comfortably now over the 3 second mark. Gap to Gasly even comfortably over the 3 second mark. Kvyat almost 5 seconds behind us now. In the late stages of this Grand Prix, I think we're just about going to do enough. On to the final lap then of the Russian Grand Prix, and George Russell, I mean, he's taken fastest lap away from me right towards the end of this one, and he's just looking in control. At the end of the day, he's led from start basically to finish of this one. In fact, I'm pretty certain he has led every single lap of this Russian Grand Prix. And I mean, not much else can be said this weekend. Mercedes have had the clear-cut advantage, and a team that has always been dominant around this track continues that form this weekend. As we round the final couple of corners, though, of the Russian Grand Prix, we are going to come through for P2, which I'm rather happy with still. The AlphaTauri's are giving us a big run for our money this weekend, as well, of course, as Valtteri Bottas rounding the final corner of the Russian Grand Prix. Russell's going to come through for the win. He sets another fast lap at the end. We come through for P2. Very happy with that indeed. Hey?
A great race then, and a fantastic win here in Sochi. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
But there's no question in my mind, it has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
Let's move on to the constructors. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
Well, I've got no idea where we ended up picking up that second 3-second penalty, and it cost us to Valtteri Bottas by just 0.02 of a second at the end of the Grand Prix there. A little bit gutted with that. Our 3rd non-podium of the year when all is said and done, but on the other hand, I mean, we're still looking pretty comfortable at the top of the standings there. George Russell, though, perfect weekend, pole position, fastest lap race victory. He was pretty much fastest in every session. He was completely in control of that one. Simple as that. Pierre Gasly, though, having a really good day out for AlphaTauri there, 4th to 2nd in the end. Bottas from 5th to 3rd at the checkered flag, getting the better of Kvyat and myself there. A little bit gutted, I think, for the pair of us there. Red Bulls in 6th and 7th, a good day out by Albon and Ocon. Had a Charles Leclerc, Sainz and Perez rounding out your top 10. Not sure how Verstappen warranted driver of the day. An awful weekend by our teammate. Didn't have the pace to be any higher up, really, than he ended up there when all is said and done. His fastest lap wasn't too bad, actually, saying that. But, I mean, Charles Leclerc pretty much matched us on fastest lap as well there, so I'm not too sure what was wrong with the car this weekend. You can see the rest of your finishes there. Guan Yu Zhou and Lewis Hamilton, the only 2 drivers not to make it to the checkered flag when all is said and done. Championship-wise, though, 100 points still the gap at the top of the standings, so we would need... No, I don't think... no. We would need to pull out 4 points from George Russell next weekend to wrap up the World Championship before we head to the US Grand Prix. Obviously, we need 104, the gap before we head to Kota. That is certainly doable at the end of the season here. So maybe, just maybe, we could be World Champion next time out as we head to Suzuka. It's decided a lot of World Championships in the past. And yeah, maybe, just maybe, this one can be another it does set up for as well. Gasly gets the jump on Verstappen, though, with that great result. Danny Kvyat as well gets the jump on Lance Stroll, so both the AlphaTauri's making big gains this weekend as well. I think they are your only movers in the Drivers' World Championship. Constructors-wise, 123. The gap to Mercedes has come down a lot this weekend there, but Red Bull get the jump on for a Racing Point, even, I should say, there as well. You can see, though, big battle brewing in the battle for not last of the midfield group there. Renault, McLaren and Ferrari now separated by just 11 points as we head into the final 5 races of the season there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, we'll be back very soon, potentially to wrap up the World Championship next time out in the Japanese Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.